So I'm wondering, is it going to be better with a bit of light action? I'm wearing a lot of red, so maybe that's a little better for you guys. Let's get the light set up for my shiny Aquarians. You guys are... So we know that Pluto's doing some big movements, right? It's going back for the very last time in Capricorn, but it's been moving into your sign. So Aquarians are mega. You're in for some really big transformations of self over these next 20 years, really. If you follow astrology at all and start to analyze your own birth chart and then look at the transits, it's just incredible as far as how those planets align. And then it makes you realize, like, your soul and the like sacred geometry of the choosing of the soul to enter this solar system or whatever at this time is just so divine. It really, really is. And you know, to me, of course, Astro Tarot, these quote unquote kind of spiritual or esoteric or occult are there to help us out. They're tools that we can employ and use in our day-to-day reality to, in a sense, kind of create a bit of magic, but also to empower our creatorship, right? As creators and as lovers and you know, like the friends and all these things that we show up as in these bodies, right? And certainly from the ultra love perspective, more love, more compassion, this higher intelligence for our species, right, where we can discern and understand from beyond the veil, and acknowledging the source in all of us. You know, that's really part of the yoga vibratory. That's what namaste is all about, is seeing the light within one another, knowing that light is essentially kind of the same light expressing itself in different form, and hence having a deeper understanding, which, you know, the biofeedback of the atrocity and the horror and the you know, shameful expressions of the world is ultimately the alchemy that we're here to process, that shame, on so many levels. So here we are. Ooh. Aquarius, so you're in it. You're in this sort of approaching transformational phase. Certainly when Pluto will conjunct an ascendant, conjunct any of our personal planets, or certainly aspect the planets, we're in for some pretty deep transformation for sure. So Aquarius, let's get into your reading for September 2024. Divine guidance and loving clarity is my intention. Divine guidance and loving clarity. This is for Aquarians for September 2024. I'm an intuitive reader, by the way, so take what resonates, leave the rest. The way I pull cards, interpret them, interpret the sort of constellation. There seems to be a big battle going on for you guys. King of Cups reverse and Emperor reverse. This could be bosses, paternal. You could swap genders around, okay? So these could be females, but this is certainly a dominant, bordering on abusive kind of authority figures, bosses. They're creating a lot of conflict for you. King of Cups, water sign, Emperor, maybe Aries, Capricorn, boss energy, right? Like super hyper independent, probably really arrogant and egotistical. It could be that these two figures are battling it out, fighting it out for something. Somehow you're in the mix though, right? So I'll get a clarifier for that energy. You're really in the battle. Well, this is sort of So there is limitation here. It's sort of like a stunted new start, or like maybe you took a new beginning and it's not worked out well, or you're having a lot of like inner battle or conflict in a work environment, conflict in a project or creative thing, or wanting to put something forward. And part of the you could say sort of evolution here, and it's sticky, this energy feels to me. It's not necessarily straightforward, but a part of the situation seems to be wanting to heal you out of codependency, as in maybe giving your power to people that don't deserve it, sacrificing your autonomy, as in not going your own way, not taking leaps and risks and new beginnings in the way that you would maybe authentically want to. So that kind of pulls you back into staying stuck in these conflicted situations with people that don't really align with you. As far as, so we have characters in the upright coming in with the King of Pentacles upright, Queen of Cups upright. That energy is the energy wanting to come in, and it's sort of the block or the just delay. And Aquarius on a traditional sense is ruled by Saturn as well as Capricorn. So there is an energy here of Aquarians learning about discipline, and any like obstacles, hindrances. Obstacles are things that seem to block our progress, are there for a reason. They're wanting us to, in a sense, become more of who we are and also be responsible to that expression. Aquarians are often very detached and very unique, very individual, rule breakers, that kind of energy. And yet there's a sort of discipline to having the courage to truly express that. The Wheel of Fortune, I'm going to get some clarity for that. It's in the reverse, but it doesn't really matter because it's a wheel. So it's always going around no matter what. You could maybe interpret the reversal as like the downturn of fortune in the upright. But again, it keeps going round and round. So it looks like, again, like this would be like, oh no, everything is falling apart. But this falling apartness, or this sort of endless conflict that you might be feeling from within self, maybe it's to do with your ancestry, maybe it's to do with your paternal lineages, right? So this Fool energy is like, why can't I step out of this? Why can't I get out of this pattern? And it looks like it's sort of divine. It's like you're just going to have to roll with it. See, with faith in success, in faith of like getting to the other side of the rainbow, as it were. So I'm getting a message of like discernment of thought. This is Aquarian energy, Mother of Sword, Daughter of Sword. This is like an evolution of your process, like your ability to be a critical thinker, your ability to think freely for yourself. But part of the inner battle or the inner conflict, and also potential conflicts from like around you, with the people around you, if they're conflict, like if there's people around you battling it out, these kings or this emperor and this king, right? Or if there's even the systems, the larger social systems that you see are like, abuses of power, things like this. You're like, maybe it's creating a bit of fear, again, conflict, a feeling of inner battle, like I don't know which way to go and I feel stuck, and all at once like I just want to break free, but I want to be practical, like this, again, like lots of stuff going on. This is honing your perception. There's a purpose. Some, even in my own noodlings or just different mental landscapes, I can get into that space too, with the sort of nihilism of like, what's the point of any of it and why do we care? But then like, if that suits us in that moment, fair enough. But it's much more kind of juicy to have, I don't know, some sense of meaning, some sense of like, well, bugger it, like even if none of it matters, or even if all these people are doing this shady shit, or even if I feel stuck, I'm going to embrace that and pay attention to what I'm thinking and discern, because it looks like you're kind of in the midst of people around you, but these people are also expressions of ancient, I'm hearing ancient, or like also unconscious. So outworking the ways we might compromise, the way we might express ourselves inauthentically, or even the way we're selling ourselves short. It's almost like there's this daughter of sword here that's just sparkling up. So I feel like there's sort of this mixture of this conflict being very humbling for you, Aquarius. But actually, in amidst this humbling is you kind of finding yourself. Like really, but there's a humbling. There's a sense of like, maybe I don't need to be that. Maybe I don't need to be that emperor. Maybe I don't need to like have this business or have this money or have this sort of prestige or status. Maybe I can let go of that for now. Hence the Wheel of Fortune, this sort of downturn, this releasing, this surrendering, which can very much be like a humbling, a relief, like, because that's part of that, the idea of letting things go and then they manifest, right? Or yeah. So because there's better energy coming in, essentially, there's people in the upright. That's where I get this feeling of relief. I feel like there's maybe been a lot of like, especially with so Pluto would have been transiting for a lot of you this sort of 12th house area. These are deeply karmic placements. These are, so if you have placements in the 12th house or even aspecting things, because it's moving through the 12th house, it is a psychological. It's often not seen on the external, right? It's stuff that we're going through inside ourselves. And so right now you're like in having a battle, having a like, who am I? Or what am I here to express? Or how am I here to do? And I don't really align with those people anymore. And I don't want to go back to this thing. And there's a little bit of a freedom break, but sort of through your own psychological healing. So it's like not being impulsive and just sitting with stuff and letting life kind of flow until that rhymes, right? Until you're like, okay, I'm going to go in that direction for sure, because that thought, that person, that thing, those old ways, those didn't work for me. That didn't quite align, or that didn't work out how I thought. So basically it's like relinquishing the control, the mental control, kind of on all the levels, with the Wheel of Fortune there and the Fool, right? There's a lot of major arcana that are wanting to, like, there's a sense of this sort of like churning the dirt at rock bottom to get some movement flowing for you to initiate new thought form that will likely bring in better energy, more aligned energy, feeling guided, again, feeling more full. And then this is like for feeling full enough to take adventures again. I get that too, but yeah, this sense of adventure, a sense of lightness with having been through a pretty profound cycle here, right? So there's a clarity of your direction, but from a newfound place of humility, which might, like, what am I getting? It's sort of like once you're on the other side, it will make sense and it will feel good and it will be right. But in the middle of it, it might feel like everything's going wrong. And or the sense of like existential crises, like I don't know who I am anymore. Right? But you've got all this benevolent energy coming in to support you through this process. Something like, if you don't rush, you don't need to rush it, you don't need to act impulsively, you don't need to like, did I say that already? You don't need to rush into anything, because it's very the Wheel of Fortune. It's very kind of divine timing. There is a discipline to sitting, to being, to we're so in that three-dimensional construct, the matrix paradigm or whatever. We're so programmed to work and to be productive, and there's a huge healing process in just slowing down, making more conscious choices to live a certain way. And often is the case that we get to these kind of collective and personal crux points where this old system isn't working for us anymore. And there is an essence here of having people that don't align with who you really are. And again, us working with our external reality to help us get to know more of who we truly are. Even if it's a little like weird or destabilizing, right? It's like, oh my God, I don't even know if I want that thing anymore. I just want to travel and be free. Or I'm hearing something about writing. Some of you, I just want to write. I just want to write. So like, and then again, it's like clearing the clutter of other people's thoughts of like, but you've got a good job, or like you're an important part of the team, and you're like, why would you do that? You know, writers never make any money, whatever it might be. You're like, I don't care. And then it's like that commitment to self is part of why and how you're bringing in more better support. Three of Pentacles, totally. So getting through the rough patch into the clarity of supporting yourself, into those foundations. See, it's all leading us to these like, and that's part of this humility. It's a softening, it's a recognition of the healing. Sun card, there's this warmth. It's in the reverse, but I'm like, ooh, there's a warmth coming in. There's a new awareness coming in for you here. Be patient with it. I'm getting a sense of like, you know, mid to end of September, you'll start to feel it. You'll start to feel this, even if it's just you in your home or something, or like you've let go of a job, or you finally like distance yourself from conflict energy, distance yourself from drama that was just like triggering lots of shit. And hence Wheel of Fortune, we're like, oh, I got to step away from this, and that then I'm going to let it go, or actually I'm not going to come back to that project, or I'm not going to go back to work with those people. I don't want it. I don't want that new beginning. I don't want to take it. You're allowed to choose. Remember that. I often, you know, in many different, certainly with the yoga breathwork stuff, there's always a sense of you're in control, right? Like it's a discernment. It's not, there's actually a deep spiritual essence of like relinquishing all control, because like, you know, from a heart-centered level, we don't need to control. We don't need to micromanage. And yet from being a chooser, an autonomous sovereign being, you can choose. Thus, there's a certain amount of self-control. For some reason, I think because the control word has a sort of control domination context, I don't like it. Or it's like, but it really means a sort of inner discipline or a mastery. And I prefer that word, kind of, because to me, mastery is like this constant evolution and work in progress, right? Yeah. More noodlings there for sure. See? Emperor upright. So some of you guys might not get as much time alone as you want, but it's still there. Emperor energy. It's like you see this compromise card is coming out quite a lot. And that is just to me the ultimate energy of what we're talking about with this whole shift into greater sovereignty, autonomy, self-awareness, right? In coordination for the betterment of all. This isn't about some narcissistic selfishness that we're all gonna get it for to prove something. This is about healing the heart, in endeavoring a greater spiritual self-awareness, empathy, deeper understanding, compassionate understanding, where from a spiritual perspective, none of us compromise that connection. In a sense, I'm getting a funny vibe about that's part of, you know, world wars and these sort of perpetual wars, is that kind of conflict that we don't all have access to connection. Connection isn't found via text, words, or anything outside of self. Connection is within self. That's the altar of God, is the heart, right? It's that empathic sort of feeling connectivity that we're all totally 100% connected within too. And that's, you know, part of the miracle of our existence in this life, and also part of the idea that we can choose a better projection for the totality of all. And yet it's seemingly through the needle for the whole, that kind of hole we're going through in this awakening process, is also refining our sense of individuality, showing up in the self that we're being guided to show up, rather than the programming. And that's part of shadow work. That's part of, you know, emotional alchemy, same thing really. So we don't compromise ourselves when it comes to this inner work, right? Because it's kind of like the priority. It's moving through that gate to get to the rainbow, right? We get to live in Technicolor rather than this black and white blocked off reality. So there's a huge release happening here for you. And then in that, almost like that surrender, relief, humility, better energies, upright people, Emperor upright. You potentially, some of you, side note, there is this potential here of growing something. Those of you who are in business for yourself, I would say this transition or shift is really like rising you into a certain status. And I do specifically feel like empire mode, emperor, right? Like this is something like you can grow and build into something worth growing and building. Because there is a gentleness, there is a care from the Emperor. Similar vibe to that King of Pentacles. Working with other energies that really see the vision that you see. Some greater alignment, more abundance coming in. Beautiful card. My favorite card of the Osho deck. It's like Scott Zetzler making a cameo in the Aquarius. So, divine guidance, love, and clarity. Let's start to get some final layers here, Aquarius. So, more abundance coming in. Honestly, if you're worried at all, I wouldn't. It's almost like this energy, just don't hang back. Like, pull back from the conflict rather than trying to sort it out. Take a break, go on an adventure, do some inner work, inner healing, until you feel full. That's it. The Anahata card, that's the heart center, that's the heart chakra. This is leading you to a stronger foundation and a more joyful life. But it seems either energetically, mentally, there might be stickiness, there might be a sense of loss, there might be disappointment, discomfort. Okay, like why this now, or why didn't this work out, or why can't I see the way? And again, there's people, there's energies around that just are not in alignment, and so there's like pull back, humble, maybe surrender, let go of stuff for now. And there's like an authentic thought form, like something just purely from you, like, oh, that's the thing, that's what I want to focus on. And there's that shift where you're then bringing in greater benevolent energy, people in the upright, and then you can start to grow this empire of yours. It's the clarity of vision from within your own authentic soul self, inner eye, that's leading you. And this is just a fairly big, maybe initiation, graduation, something like this sort of gateway that you might think you have to push through or power through, but it's the opposite. It's like, let go. That resonates, I think, with a lot of the collective at the minute. It's not about fighting. It's about presence. It's about stillness. It's about holding space. It's about knowing the truth within self, within your heart. So we're not going to win the conflict by creating more conflict. We're not going to get over the conflict by getting into more conflict. We can only truly resolve it by finding peace within self. This, for some reason, on like a status or more 3D level, that's where the humbling comes in, which I think might be for some of you an important message, is that this could feel really humbling. Like, letting go of something we felt really committed to, or it's even like with these Emperor King of Cup reverse energies, it's even like seeing the truth of a person that we once admired so massively. A teacher, a boss, a spiritual guru, or something like this. And some sort of conflict or shift has brought about a recognition where you see something that you can't unsee, and you're like, oh my God. Hence this humility of like, I've working so hard for this thing, or giving this person so much power, and they're not that. They're not who I thought they were, right? So that's that can be quite a humbling experience, you know. See, so something's coming in here too, Aquarius, with exploration energy, right? So and because the Three of Wands is here, I would say there's possibly for some of you a opportunity to travel, opportunity to maybe do some learning, like, yeah, like travel to do a course, or it's like I'm thinking about astrology because this is an astro deck. Like maybe just taking a trip to do a weekend workshop in astrology, or just some sort of learning that, see, that's the piece, is that that sort of thing coming up might be the space away from said conflict, right? So follow your nose, follow your intuition, follow your good feel vibes, do things that light you up, do things that you want to learn. Heart chakra energy is coming in big time, you guys. So sit in the heart, sit with your heart and be like, what do you want? Self-trust, learning to trust yourself. That's why you're probably having to do a little bit on your own right now. So much heart healing, so much alchemy to really kind of get into yourself and know yourself and trust yourself moving forward. Because this energy of trusting other people that are just creating more conflict, little bit of like lone wolf energy as far as whatever it is you're creating as well, Aquarius. Don't be afraid to own it and know that you're if you're getting the download, you're the one being granted access to create it. So it's not an egotistical sort of frolic, or like a kind of, there's nothing egotistical about it. It's just like I gotta do this, but I gotta do it my way. And right now, these people, or that old stuff, or this me relating in this way, that's not gonna work. So I gotta take a bit of space. I gotta learn. I gotta explore. I gotta create. I gotta get back into myself, and then move forward, slightly new ground, a little bit more humble, but super clear. Like especially with Mercury now moving retrograde, like super clear. So take your time, don't need to be impulsive, do some learning and exploring, but distance yourself from energies where there's just too much drama and you're not getting anywhere, it's just going around in circles. Take that space out and maybe have the courage to let it go. Because there's a great abundance, there's so much beautiful heart energy, and like just almost like you basking and sitting in it and then letting all the good stuff come in, rather than like fighting people to try to like see your vision or work with you in the way that you want, where you're having to constantly compromise yourself, which is creating more conflict. And you're like, maybe I'll just step out. Maybe I'll just step out of the situation, do a bit of learning over here, explore here, and wait till I'm being guided, wait till I really feel that call. Or like, again, just this sort of rising. It's almost like the all at once, the letting go is a shift in humility, which then rises you. But you know, even in a very innocent way, you knowing your mind, your vision from just this pure heart-centered space, you're good. You're right. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. If you made it to the end, thank you very much. I get distracted by my own self when I'm like touching my hair and doing other things. So I do apologize if that distracted you. Either way, we're all human. We do our best, and I hope that you be resonating with the vibratories and that you found that useful. If you did, feel free to share it, like it, comment. I love this community. I'm so grateful for the, like, you know, it's been a journey, this whole YouTube online entrepreneurialism stuff, and we're still flowing with it. And at this stage in the game, I'm just so grateful for this community of lovers and people who have supported myself and the brand, who have really felt it and understood where it would be coming from. And so thank you. And to new people arriving, thanks for joining us. It's great to be here with you, as much as, you know, we're facing down a lot of old energy that you know wants to be healed and purged. It's not comfortable particularly, but idea, see, my loves, like we have to keep the faith. We have to keep that love in our hearts and continue to ground ourselves to witness the beauty of this life. You know, the wonder, the awe, the serenity, the love, and to hold that thread. It's not easy, isn't it? But it's better. It's when we can be who we are and follow that through. Definitely, wow, it's amazing. It's miraculous, but it's not necessarily some kind of grandiose thing. And yet, hold that line. There's lots of good energy coming for us astrologically, right? There's gonna be some, depending on the work you've been doing, obviously, and aspects and charts, obviously. But you know, we're shifting timelines big time, and we're a lot of us are getting ready to open up to receive the things we've been working on, the things we've been asking for. That Saturn has been a heavy hitter, forcing us to be practical, forcing us to really land these ascended energies, these higher vibration, as it were, right? So karmic lessons are karmic for a reason. They're helping to discipline us. They're helping to anchor it into the physical present moment reality, right? Because it's the same. We still have to just allow it to unfold and allow it to show itself. So we're working in coordination with manifest reality rather than trying to control and dominate it, right? Or sort of biofeedbacking off of the heart, the human heart, the earth heart, you know, the cosmic expression as far as like what we can learn from the planetary relationship. That's something I like to kind of you know, help understand as far as like we're living in a solar system on a planet. This planet has a relationship with it from a very magnetic point of view. There's a relationship between Earth and all these other planets that are orbiting around the sun. So we all are part of that dance, right? And that's part of the distortion of witnessing the people of this planet, you know, hurting the planet, hurting one another. From a greater divine coordination, there's an acceptance of that to also evolve it, right? To also allow Earth to express a higher, which, you know, if you study different ancient civilizations or if you go into some of those spiritual realms, we can recognize that there have been different across the ages, and yeah, just across the times, lots of expressions of a greater or higher harmonic, and it just keeps flowing, you know, sort of like the earth, you know, going through the seasons, the ages. There's all these sort of macro micro expressions that are just like an infinity loop, looping around. Isn't it great to be here? Isn't it cool? A little bit of a ramble there, but hala hala. Thanks for being here, my Aquarian friends. Thanks for being patient and loving towards me. I'll continue to endeavor to do the same for all of you. So much love for you guys. I hope you have a great month of September. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you guys real soon in the daily shares or next month for the month of October. Wowzers. See you guys real soon. Take care. Peace out.